A lot of you have been asking whether there's any real link between Prince and Diddy, especially with all the jaw-dropping things Prince was revealing about the music industry before his passing. Well, it turns out there might be a strange and unsettling connection between the two. You see, Diddy had a deal with Warner Brothers, the very same label Prince was battling for years. And what makes it even more suspicious? Warner was doing to Prince exactly what Diddy's been accused of for years, exploiting artists, pocketing the profits, and silencing anyone who dared to speak out.
Became such a big deal back then is ever since my third album, I wasn't really taking large advances from the recording companies. I was recording the albums myself in my own studio. So the way I looked at it, I owned the work because I paid for it. And I did all the work, I created it, so I felt like it should belong to me. That said, the companies felt otherwise, and they would always hold this contract up and say, well, you signed it. And I say, well, I understand that. It's not like I want to leave. I just want to, talk about this thing and see if we can't make it more fair. Of course, they wouldn't change, because if they changed, they wouldn't really exist. And that's kind of the situation we're in right today. They're not going to exist much longer. But it's not like we're against them or anything like that. The idea is that we find better ways of working with one another. It shouldn't be a situation where they own the album or the work. We're talking about intellectual copyright. If they're going to be indeed a delivery service, then that's fine. But even FedEx doesn't say that they own the thing that they ship.
At number 2, here's something wild. Prince once allowed Diddy to throw parties at his house, but get this, he never showed up to any of them. Why? Well, rumor has it, Prince wasn't too comfortable with the kind of scenes Diddy was putting together. Word on the street is that he had a gut feeling about those infamous freak-offs and decided to keep his distance.
First Diddy party I went to was at Prince's house. So you want to go to Prince's house to the Diddy party where Tyrese is performing and Demi Moore and Ashton Kutcher are swinging on swings. That is what's happening on the other side of the wall. And so the one thing that makes this party different than a Jamie Foxx party or any other celebrity party that wrangles a bunch of young women or guys or whatever too, is that Diddy didn't let you bring your security in the party.
Number 3 on this wild ride. Prince's estate didn't just have its hands full with music rights, they were also tangled up in a major legal battle with none other than Jay-Z. And here's the kicker. Jay-Z used to be super close with Diddy before all the lawsuits started unraveling that bond. The drama, Jay-Z allegedly put Prince's music on Tidal without proper clearance. That's right, Prince's legendary catalog streamed without the green light. And as history has shown us, things rarely end well for those who dare to call out industry giants like Jay-Z or Diddy. Record labels like Warner and artists like Prince tried to warn us, but were we really listening? Hold on to your seats, because things are about to spiral even deeper into this Diddy-fueled chaos. Prince wasn't just a musical genius, he was a warrior when it came to protecting his art. He spent his entire career battling against industry powerhouses that he believed were robbing artists of their rights and revenue. And according to some fans and conspiracy theorists, he may have paid the ultimate price, his life. Whether or not Warner Brothers had a hand in his mysterious death is still a heated topic of debate. But many believe that Prince knew too much, fought too hard, and became a threat to a system that doesn't like rebels. Let's rewind a bit. Prince signed with Warner Music back in 1977 at just 18 years old. His early albums, released between 1978 and 1981, didn't exactly top the charts, but Warner saw potential and kept him around. Back then, the label had a reputation for nurturing long-term talent, and Prince was definitely one to watch. By 1982, just a year after MTV shook up the music scene, Prince dropped new tracks that finally broke into the US top 10. He wasn't just making music anymore, he was shaping an entire movement. With his unique style, bold visuals, and mystique, fans didn't just listen to him, they emulated him. Then came 1984's Purple Rain, a cultural earthquake. Prince wasn't just a star, he was the star, electrifying, unpredictable, and undeniably iconic. As his fame soared, Prince launched his own label, Paisley Park Records, with backing from Warner, who also distributed the music. But the deeper he got into the business side, the more he realized he was being shortchanged. So he did what few dared, he fought back. You'd think asking to leave the label would be simple, right? Not with Warner. They stalled, they resisted. Typical label behavior. The tension hit a boiling point around the release of the Gold Experience, where money, creative control, and ownership collided head-on. Fed up, Prince made a bold move. He appeared in public with the word slave scrawled across his face. His message was crystal clear. He was bound by a contract that gave Warner ownership of his name and every piece of music tied to it. In a genius yet radical move, he changed his name to a symbol. Yes, that symbol. And people began referring to him as the artist formerly known as Prince. It wasn't just a rebrand, it was a protest. The war with Warner raged on. In a 1999 interview with Paper Magazine, Prince didn't hold back. He revealed that he'd tried to buy back his masters, but Warner flat out refused, so he decided to recreate every song, same music, but with his full control. "You'll have two catalogs," he said. "One belongs to the giant corporation. The other, mine, belongs to the artist. Now you choose who gets your money." Prince wasn't just fighting for himself. In interviews, award show speeches, and beyond, he exposed how deeply the music industry manipulated and controlled its artists. He was dropping truth bombs long before it became trendy to speak out.
Well, it's not your game. You didn't make the rules, so everything comes hard. And as long as you're signed to a contract, you're going to take a minority share of the winnings. A select few of us will do well. The majority will not. So as a people, we'll be considered a minority. But stop. Let's take a moment and look at yourselves. There's nothing minor about you. You are a blessed people. You're the most talented on earth, and you are still grateful. That is why upon winning in their game, you always thank God. Tonight I would like to ask one favor of you. Imagine what we'll all be like in our own game. Peace and love for one another.
Prince took his business very seriously, and in an attempt to regain his online reputation, he declared in February 2007 that he would sue YouTube, eBay, and the Pirate Bay for using his music without permission. Prince ultimately got his name back, and he made some kind of agreement with Warner. Shortly thereafter, however, he passed away under highly questionable circumstances. Those who remember Prince's death may remember that he was discovered unconscious at his Minnesota estate at the age of 57. Prince was found in an elevator, the same elevator he dubbed the Devil, and it was concluded at the time that he died of an accidental fentanyl overdose after inadvertently ingesting fake Vicodin laced with a very strong synthetic opiate.
You know, kind of spooked me about it all.
What?
Was he has a song called Let's Go Crazy.
Yeah.
And it says, "Don't let the elevator bring us down." One time when I was with him privately, he said, "You know what the elevator is, right?"
No.
I said, "No, what's the elevator?" He said, "Well, the elevator is the devil." Right? It scared me. You know, I don't like to talk like that, but he said that. And so for me, it was like really haunting when I read that he was found in an elevator.
Naturally, no one ever understood his death, because it seemed inconceivable that the renownedly hygienic royal had died from an overdose of painkillers.
Problems?
That I don't know, right? What I know is that he was really health conscious. He was a vegan. He didn't abuse alcohol. I didn't know of him drugs. He worked out, you know, so, you know, that also really concerned me because it made me think that, wow, so you mean you do all these things to take care of yourself and you die so young?
In addition, there were rumors that Prince had already OD'd and was extremely ill in the weeks preceding his death. Prince had canceled gigs and made an emergency landing on his way home, where he received an anti-opioid dose, indicating that he had been exhibiting severe health issues in the preceding weeks. However, others questioned why, if that were the case, he wasn't being treated by a doctor when he had reportedly experienced an OD less than a month earlier and had been obviously ill for a while. It was strange that Prince was not receiving medical attention because it would have seemed plausible that in order to secure tour dates, there would need to be an agreement that Prince could play in order to avoid last-minute cancellations, particularly at larger venues. Additionally, Prince frequently cancels shows without warning, especially at larger venues. In addition, Prince was aware that they were targeting him, just like the machine has been doing to anybody who has attempted to expose them over the years. When you thought you were safe, Prince really shared a picture of himself along with a since-deleted note soon before he passed away. And just when you thought you were secure, he foresaw that Lenquart since erased communication. Additionally, he made 2 predictions about his demise. I mean, Prince allegedly instructed guests to wait a few days before wasting any prayers during his last appearance at a party at Paisley Park, which was held shortly after his reported treatment and days before his death. Fascinating, correct? It was widely believed that he was undoubtedly deceased, and many people, including famous ones like Kanye West, have been expressing this opinion. Regarding Kanye West, some have compared him to a contemporary Prince since he advocates for the same causes that Prince did in the past.
This ain't independent. Yeezy's the only 100% owned, independent, black owned or whatever. I don't know if it'll be owned after this interview, but you get what I'm saying? Like when we sign something, we don't sign somebody. We're signing someone to the bigger Vivendi slave ship, to the bigger universal slave ship. Because y'all saying, all these tweets was crazy. You know why Prince gave me the song Jail? Because he liked what I did. And he's like, I like what you did with them contracts.
You said Prince gave it to you. Right.
Man, he definitely, guess who's going to jail tonight? You know what I'm saying? That Gemini spirit.
People who don't, because he was on that tip.
Yeah.
Just people who don't know, you're talking about Prince.
Yeah, I'm talking
out Prince.
And Prince trying to get away from corporations, disconnect.
Prince with the slave on his cheek.
Yeah, slave on his cheek, yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Michael Jackson, bro, this man.
Prince would have been perceived similarly to Kanye West if he had been brought into the social media age in the late 1970s and early 1980s. Even L.A. Reid told Access Hollywood that Kanye is amazing, but people definitely love him. Fantastic. On Prince's level, that is. However, he is hip-hop today. He isn't the same person. He is not a guitarist. He is not a pianist. He's not a performer like that. However, he is a king in hip-hop. All right, folks. Regarding Diddy's role, as you may remember, he and Warner Group signed a joint venture agreement that granted the record label a 50% share in Diddy's Bad Boy Records label. According to the agreement, Warner would market and manage the physical and digital distribution of Bad Boy's catalog releases globally, as well as the label's roster of current and former artists, which includes Mace, Mario Winans, and Notorious B.I.G., as well as Diddy. There have been a lot of boutique record labels that come and go, and we're still here, Diddy added in reference to the agreement. This has made sure that we have the right partners, the right financial structure, and the necessary financial support to continue to be a major force in the music industry for the upcoming years. Diddy was doing to his artist exactly what Prince had been fighting all his life. And is it really necessary to list all of the bad boy artists Diddy has let down in the past? This list might go on for days, as we already know. And according to reports, this was one of the problems Prince and Diddy were having. Even worse, Diddy began returning publication rights to his previous artists, including Biggie, who signed to Diddy's label, Bad Boy Entertainment, at the beginning of its existence in 1993, shortly before he was the target of his first lawsuit. However, Diddy's former musicians claimed that he had already exploited everything and that the rights he was granted back were essentially worthless.
And it's funny, and then you move on and you like something that he did on TikTok because he's funny. But for people that worked for 6 years of their life and entered an industry where somebody made, what, $48 million?
Nearly $50 million?
And we didn't even see a penny of that, and we were in thongs and 5-inch heels for years of our lives on stage. And not any of it did we see. And the measly amount of change that MTV paid us, we don't even get to feel any benefit of that because they never brought the show back and they don't play it in reruns. So we can't even get the hype of, oh, hey, I remember this. They're cult classics. Let me hire her for something. Like all of them got, right? Mm-hmm. Jersey Shore kids are making millions of dollars.
Furthermore, as I mentioned earlier, Prince may have been aware of Diddy's freak-off and decided to avoid him at all costs. Jason Lee reportedly said that he went to Prince's house for his first Diddy party and that the odd thing he discovered was that nobody was permitted to bring their own security.
The first Diddy party I went to was at Prince's house. So you want to go to Prince's house to the Diddy party where Tyrese is performing and Demi Moore and Ashton Kutcher are swinging on swings. That is what's happening on the other side of the wall. And so the one thing that makes this party different than a Jamie Foxx party or any other celebrity party that wrangles a bunch of young women or guys or whatever too, is that Diddy didn't let you bring your security in the party.
Who knows? Perhaps he saw what was happening and severed relations after Diddy's party at Prince's place. Let's now briefly discuss Jay-Z, Diddy's ex-best friend and his relationship with Prince. Prince allegedly trusted Jay-Z at one time during his troubles with Warner because he believed that Jay-Z had his musicians' best interests at heart. He thus negotiated an agreement with Tidal, a streaming service that is largely owned by Roc Nation, Jay-Z's business. However, the Prince Estate Administration gave NPG Records permission to sue Roc Nation for copyright in February 2016 after the latter uploaded 15 Prince albums to Tidal. The lawsuit claimed that Tidal had violated copyright by posting 15 Prince albums on the streaming site, and that Tidal had only been granted an exclusive 90-day license for a recently recorded studio album, Hit and Run. The problem is that Tidal claimed to have obtained an oral and written authorization to be the first streaming service to release numerous Prince albums. On the other hand, NPG claimed that the equity term sheet and the Tidal Prince agreement were fake and backdated to look real. Although NPG stated that there is no proof that the agreement considered other works or that Prince was ever granted Tidal equity prior to the dispute, they acknowledged that Prince did in fact make a deal with Tidal for a studio album called Hit and Run. Furthermore, Roc Nation disregarded repeated requests for supporting documentation or proof of any implied or verbal agreements giving these rights. So essentially, this is an attempt to convey the idea that Diddy and Jay-Z are quite similar. Two individuals can literally cut from the same cloth and perform the same tasks. Many people believe that Prince was referring to Diddy and Jay-Z when he warned musicians and people about the machine. And he had to leave, like so many others before and after him. However, how do you feel about everything Prince attempted to reveal about the music business? Is it, in your opinion, what finally caused his premature death? Put your thoughts in the space provided for comments below.